You've spent your whole life explaining yourself, justifying your feelings, your choices, your existence. But what if that urge is a trap? Carl Jung believed the need to be understood is rooted in fear, not truth. This video reveals why silence isn't weakness, it's the beginning of your psychological liberation. Chapter 1. The hidden cost of explaining yourself. You've probably done it more times than you can count. Someone questions your decision, and you rush to explain. You feel misunderstood, so you clarify. You set a boundary, then soften it with a long justification. It feels harmless, polite even. But what if this habit is quietly eroding your sense of self? Explaining yourself constantly isn't just exhausting. It's a subtle form of self-erasure. Every time you over-explain, you're asking for permission to exist. You're handing over your authority to someone else, hoping they'll validate your choices, your feelings, your truth. It's not just about communication, it's about survival. Somewhere deep inside, you've learned that being accepted means being understood. And being understood means being explainable. This need to justify ourselves often begins early. Maybe you were raised in an environment where being good meant being agreeable. Maybe you learned that love was conditional, given only when you were easy to understand. Over time, you internalized the idea that being accepted meant being digestible. You learned to shape your words, your tone, even your emotions to fit what others could handle. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to fit in. It's not fake exactly. It's a version of us shaped by what others expect. The problem is, the more we rely on the persona, the more disconnected we become from our real self. We start performing instead of living. We become fluent in the language of approval, but forget how to speak our own truth. You might notice it in small moments. You say no to something, then feel compelled to explain why. You share an opinion, then immediately soften it. You feel something deeply, but you phrase it in a way that won't make others uncomfortable. These are all signs of a fractured identity, one that's trying to stay safe by being palatable. And it's not just about words, it's about energy. Over-explaining drains you. It pulls you out of your body and into someone else's perception. You stop feeling your truth and start managing theirs. You become a curator of your own experience, editing it for public consumption. Psychologist Alfred Adler once said, "The chief danger in life is that you may take too many precautions." That's exactly what over-explaining is. A precaution against rejection. But it comes at a cost. You lose the rawness of your truth. You dilute your presence. You become a version of yourself that's easier to digest, but harder to feel. And here's the twist. The more you explain, the less people actually understand you. They don't hear your truth. They hear your performance. They don't feel your boundary. They feel your apology. You think you're building connection, but you're actually building distance. You think you're being clear, but you're just being careful. This habit is especially common among people who are emotionally intelligent. You feel the room. You anticipate reactions. You want harmony. But sometimes, that sensitivity turns into self-erasure. You start shrinking your truth to protect others from discomfort. You start explaining your boundaries so they don't feel like walls. You start justifying your needs so they don't feel like demands. But here's the truth. Your feelings don't need a footnote. Your boundaries don't need a backstory. Your decisions don't need a disclaimer. You are allowed to be whole, even if someone else doesn't understand every piece of you. This doesn't mean you stop communicating. It means you stop performing. It means you speak from clarity, not fear. It means you trust that your truth is valid, even if it's messy, even if it's misunderstood, even if it's met with silence. And when you stop explaining, something shifts. People might resist at first. They're used to your justifications. They're used to your softness. but eventually they'll adjust or they won't. Either way, you'll be free. You'll feel it in your body. Less tension, less anxiety, less rehearsing conversations in your head. You'll feel it in your relationships. More honesty, more depth, more space. You'll feel it in your creativity. More flow, more courage, more voice. You'll start to notice how often others explain themselves, and how much of it is fear. You'll start to see the difference between connection and performance. You'll start to crave silence not as withdrawal, but as power. This is the beginning of individuation. Jung believed that becoming whole requires shedding the persona and reclaiming the self. It's not about being liked. It's about being real. It's not about being understood. It's about being true. If this resonates with you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. This space is for people who are ready to live from truth, not performance. If you're tired of shrinking yourself to be understood, you're in the right place. The journey continues. In the next chapter, we'll explore how silence, far from being passive, is actually one of the most powerful tools for reclaiming your identity. Chapter 2. Silence as a form of power. There's a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when you stop explaining yourself and simply let the silence speak. At first it feels unnatural, like you've forgotten your lines in a play you've performed your whole life. But then something strange happens. The silence doesn't collapse. It expands, it holds, and in that stillness you begin to feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Power. Not the kind of power that dominates or controls. This is a different kind. It's the power of presence. The power of not needing to be understood to feel real. The power of knowing who you are even when no one else does. Most people think silence is passive, that it means you've given up or you don't care or you have nothing to say. But silence can be a boundary, a declaration, a refusal to perform. It can be the loudest thing in the room. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop negotiating your worth. You stop trying to manage how others see you. You stop offering your truth like a product that needs to be sold. And in that space, you begin to reclaim something sacred, your inner authority. This doesn't mean you become cold or distant. It means you become rooted. You speak when it matters. You listen more deeply. You stop filling the air with apologies and justifications. You let your presence do the talking. There's a kind of silence that isn't empty. It's full of clarity, full of self-trust, full of boundaries that don't need to be announced. When you embody that kind of silence, people feel it. They may not understand it, but they feel it, and often they don't know how to respond. Some will try to pull you back into the old dance. They'll ask, "Why are you being like this?" Or, "What's wrong?" They'll poke at the silence, trying to get a reaction. Not because they're cruel, but because they're uncomfortable. They're used to the version of you that explains, that softens, that makes things easy. But you're not here to make things easy. You're here to be whole. Silence is not the absence of communication. It's a different kind of language. One that says, "I don't need to convince you." One that says, "I trust myself enough to let this be misunderstood." One that says, "I'm not here to be decoded, I'm here to be." This kind of silence is forged in discomfort. It's not glamorous. It's not always peaceful. Sometimes it feels like standing naked in a storm, but over time it becomes a shelter, a place where you can hear your own voice again. You begin to notice how much noise there is in the world, how much of it is people explaining, defending, performing. You see it in conversations, in social media posts, in the way people rush to clarify themselves before anyone even asks. It's everywhere, and it's exhausting. But when you choose silence, you step out of that current. You stop swimming upstream. You let go of the need to be seen a certain way. And in doing so, you become more visible, not less. Because real presence doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being clear. You don't need to explain your boundaries. You just need to hold them. You don't need to justify your healing. You just need to live it. You don't need to narrate your growth. You just need to grow. This doesn't mean you never speak. It means you speak from a different place. A place that isn't trying to be liked. A place that isn't afraid of being misunderstood. A place that knows not everyone will get it, and that's okay. You start to realize that silence isn't a void. It's a container. A place where your truth can breathe without being dissected. A place where your energy isn't constantly leaking out through explanations and apologies. And in that container, something begins to grow. A deeper sense of self. A quieter kind of confidence. A knowing that doesn't need to be proven. You begin to trust your own timing. You stop rushing to fill the gaps. You let conversations breathe. You let people sit with their discomfort. You stop rescuing them from the silence, and you stop rescuing yourself from it too. It's not easy. At first, it feels like you're doing something wrong. Like you're being rude or withholding. But that's just the old conditioning talking. The part of you that was taught to be palatable. The part that believed your value was tied to how easy you were to understand. But you're not here to be easy. You're here to be real, and realness is often quiet. It doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't need applause. It just needs space. You'll notice that some people fall away when you stop explaining. That's okay. They were attached to the version of you that performed, the version that made them comfortable. Let them go. You're not losing connection, you're making room for deeper ones. The people who stay, the ones who meet you in the silence, those are your people. They don't need you to explain. They feel you. They respect your boundaries without needing a PowerPoint presentation. They trust your no. They honor your yes. They don't need the performance. They want the presence, and you'll start to want that too. You'll crave it. You'll stop chasing people who need you to shrink. You'll stop overthinking every word. You'll stop rehearsing conversations in your head. You'll just show up as you are. No script, no mask, no explanation. That's the power of silence. It strips away the noise. It brings you back to yourself. It reminds you that you were never meant to be decoded. You were meant to be felt. And when you live from that place, everything changes. Your relationships deepen. Your creativity expands. Your nervous system calms. You stop living in reaction and start living in rhythm. You begin to understand that silence isn't the absence of something. It's the presence of everything you've been avoiding. Your truth, your power, your wholeness, and once you taste that kind of silence, you'll never want to go back. Chapter 3. Becoming whole without permission. There comes a moment when you stop waiting. You stop waiting for someone to understand you, to validate your choices, to say, yes, you're allowed to be this way. That moment is quiet. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause, but it marks the beginning of something profound, the journey toward wholeness. Wholeness isn't perfection. It's not about being flawless or fully healed. It's about being complete in your contradictions. It's about standing in your truth without needing it to be approved. It's about living from the inside out, not the outside in. Most of us are trained to seek permission. Permission to speak. Permission to feel. Permission to change. We look to others, family, friends, partners, society, to tell us who we're allowed to be. And when they hesitate, we hesitate. When they disapprove, we shrink. When they misunderstand, we explain. But the truth is, no one can give you permission to be yourself. That's an inside job. And the longer you wait, the more distant you become from your own life. You start to notice how much of your energy goes into managing perception. You edit your words so they don't sound too harsh. You soften your boundaries so they don't feel too rigid. You rehearse conversations in your head, trying to find the version of yourself that will be most acceptable. It's exhausting, and it's endless. Because no matter how carefully you shape yourself, someone will still misunderstand. Someone will still judge. Someone will still want you to be different. So you have a choice. Keep performing or start living. Living means letting go of the need to be liked. It means accepting that some people will never get you, and that's okay. It means trusting that your truth is enough, even if it's messy, even if it's inconvenient, even if it makes others uncomfortable. This is where transformation begins, not in the moment you're understood, but in the moment you stop needing to be. You start to feel the difference between authenticity and approval. Approval is external. It's fragile. It changes with moods and opinions. Authenticity is internal. It's steady. It doesn't ask for applause. You begin to realize that the people who truly matter, the ones who see you, feel you, respect you, don't need you to explain. They don't need you to shrink. They don't need you to perform. They just need you to show up, and when you do, something shifts. You stop attracting relationships built on performance. You stop tolerating dynamics that require you to abandon yourself. You start creating space for real connection. Connection that's rooted in truth, not in convenience. This doesn't mean you become selfish or closed off. It means you become clear. You know what you value. You know what you need. You know what you're no longer willing to compromise. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop justifying your healing. You stop explaining your silence. You start living from a place of self-trust. And that trust becomes your compass. It guides your decisions. It shapes your relationships. It informs your creativity. It becomes the foundation of your life. You begin to notice how much more energy you have, how much lighter you feel, how much more space there is in your mind, your body, your heart. You're no longer carrying the weight of other people's expectations. You're no longer editing yourself to fit someone else's comfort zone. You're just being, and that being is powerful. It's magnetic. It draws in people who resonate with your truth. It repels those who don't. It creates a life that feels aligned, not just on the surface, but at the core. You start to see that wholeness isn't something you achieve. It's something you remember. It's something you reclaim. It's something you embody. You were never broken. You were just buried under layers of performance, layers of explanation, layers of fear, but now you're shedding those layers. You're stepping into your truth. You're becoming whole, not because someone gave you permission, but because you stopped asking for it. This kind of transformation isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. It's steady. It's rooted. You'll feel it in the way you walk into a room, in the way you say no without guilt, in the way you hold silence without anxiety, in the way you create without needing applause. You'll feel it in the way you stop chasing validation, chasing approval, chasing understanding. You'll realize that everything you were looking for was already inside you, and you'll start to live from that place of enoughness, that place of clarity, that place of quiet power. You'll stop explaining yourself, not because you don't care, but because you do. You care enough to protect your energy. You care enough to honor your truth. You care enough to live without apology. And that kind of care is radical. It's revolutionary. It's rare, but it's available to you. Right now, in this moment. In the choice to stop performing. In the choice to start living. In the choice to become whole without permission.